guys, it is Kayla Waller with Waller Adventures, and today we are at Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, and we are at Fort Macon. It is a fort that dates back to the Civil War, so we are going to check it out. So let's go. Alright, so when you come up to Fort Macon, it is a state park. There is a public beach access to my left, and you can come up this way up to the fort. So when you come up to the fort, they added this new building. It wasn't here when I was growing up. You just walked right up to the fort, but they have this big huge building now where you can go in and see some artifacts that they found in the fort itself. They also talk about some of the soldiers that lived here during the Civil War, and they also have some educational stuff about the surrounding area with the animal life and the beach erosion and stuff like that. So we'll pop in and look at that. So when you come in, there is a gift shop right here. You can get books, local books, and other things about the fort. So when you first walk in here, they talk about Dr. Elliott. He was one of the doctors here at Fort Macon during the Civil War. It shows about his work with the animals and the local wildlife around here. You can go and open the drawers. So you can see where he preserved the local wildlife here. So future people can see what he did and what he studied. So this section of the museum talks about the local wildlife. They also talk about the whaling industry here in eastern North Carolina. They do not do this anymore. This was back in the day. So they briefly talk about it. So they touch a little bit about the fort in here, but it's mainly in the fort where they talk about the fort itself. But they also talk about preserving the beaches here, especially in the state of North Carolina. Sandbars move all the time, and we have a problem with beach erosion and beach litter. So they talk about that here. Alright, so here is a picture of the fort back in 1952. Alright, so once you leave this building, you just want to come out, hang a, once you come out of that little section, the little museum section, you want to hang a right, and you just walk out that door, and you walk up to the fort, and it looks like this. See, all this is new. When I was growing up, you came in from the left side over here, and you just hung a left, and you walked right up into the to the fort. It's a little windy today, so we're at the coast. But as you can tell, you can see where you're going, like we're going into the ground. But here is the main entrance into the fort. As you can see, it's a little trench area. It was another defense mechanism. When the enemy would come in, they have to jump over this whole wall, and they would come down here. And also this was used to keep farm animals like cows, pigs, things like that. So these are the original doors from the fort. So once you come into the fort, you go directly into the courtyard of the fort. Back in the day, when during the Civil War, this was a Confederate fort. So they would come out here during the day and do drills, practice, shooting, things like that. And you have your stairs here and there, and behind here, they go to the top where you can see the cannons. Alright, so this is showing you how they would store their food. You can see there's beef, rice, pickled onions, molasses, things like that through there. And each soldier would get a ration, and that's where they would measure it out right there of each ration each soldier would get. I think over here it tells you how much they get. Yeah, it says, you know, they get pork or bacon, soft bread or flour, beans or peas, coffee, sugar, vinegar, salt, pepper. They also get candles and soap. And also explains the army food and kind of what it pertained. So here is a replica of the dining hall. You can see stoves over there and the firewood and the tables where the soldiers would eat. So every room in this fort looks exactly like this, every one of them. And it goes in a, basically not a legit circle, but they all chain together. Here, I'll show you. See, if you look, this one's blocked off because of the exhibit beside us. But if you look down, they're all connected by this one hallway, and it goes all the way around the fort. But if you can see here, that was their window. You know, have some fresh air come in, and they would use that to store their items. But these at the top were spots where they could put their rifle up there and shoot at the enemy. They would have a furnace in the middle of the room, and you can see at the top where the smoke would go out. They would have the furnace and then just a little chimney that goes straight up. So I'm going to walk through the hallway, and you can see that each room is the same. So while we're walking through the fort, this fort was built for the Civil War. It was in control by the Confederates. And at one point, the Union soldiers took control over it, and they had some Confederate prisoners of war here. So they would put them, you know, in the rooms like this. I think the ones closer to the entrance were the ones where the prisoners were kept. I'm not 100% sure about that one. So this is the oven. They used to bake their breads in here. So when you do come visit Fort Macon, these are the rooms with the exhibits, but right now they are closed because during the last hurricane, this whole area got flooded and the exhibits got flooded. Okay, so this is the hot shot furnace. This was made to make cannonballs. They would put the metal in here and slide it down these tubes. But you can see the diagram here on how they would do it. Alright, so we're going to go up the stairs. So when you come visit and walk up these stairs, you got to be extra careful because they're not made like your normal stairs. They're actually taller than your normal stairs, so it's kind of a hassle to walk up these stairs. As you can tell, I'm like out of breath. But be careful because people trip up these all the time. But if you look, you can see all the cannons. They had them all lined up on things like this. The cannon would sit right there in the center where that circle is, and they would go along this track, so you can point it to wherever you want to, just to demonstrate the cannon. So you have your cannon like so. On wheels, and you've got this handle. So what the soldiers would do is they would hold onto the handle and pull it like that back and forth to point it wherever they wanted to, and they are heavy. But right now we are in the trench. If you do come visit and come down here and look in the trench, be careful, it's muddy down here. But we're going to walk in and check it out. So you can see all the windows. That's where we just walked through inside the fort. Alright, so when you come down here, you want to be really, really careful. It is really moist and wet down here. And it is really dark, as you can tell. And they have cannons in here, as you can see. Like up at top, they had the cannons here, and they would swivel on this little path. But they would use the smaller cannons in here. You can tell that the ceilings are really, really low. I'm 5'6", and like, I don't know if you can see, but it's like a so imagine some soldiers in here, you know, having to duck. They kind of had to do that inside the fort, but there is a little room in, like, that's toward the center where they kept their gunpowder, because it was an enclosed space and it was dry. So that's where they kept all, you know, their gunpowders and cannons and stuff like that. So you have those cannons right there at the top, but you can see this cannon is a little bigger. So I think they put the bigger ones here at the bottom. I think that's correct. But you can see there's a sailboat. That's cool. But you can tell this one is a little bigger, and you can see that the design is a little bigger on how they moved it. So they would just push it like that to make it move. Well, they got it probably welded down, but they would just push it with this to make it move where they needed to point and shoot. Thanks for joining us today on our adventures at Fort Macon. If you come here and bring your children, be very careful, because like I said, this fort was built for the war. It wasn't built for child safety. So just be careful, and be careful walking around. There's trip hazards everywhere. I'm surprised I didn't fall and trip on anything today. Normally I do. Also come to the gift shop, get you some cool books, get you some Civil War paraphernalia. You can get swords and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.